All right, folks, it's Thursday, July 9th. It's a little better than 6 p.m. Fred, you old scoundrel. Gosh darn it. Now, Fred, back in my wild days, well, I was about as wild as a hornet, a mad hornet. There used to be such a thing we called Thirsty Thursdays. I'm 43 years old now, grown, responsible adult. Can you still call them Thirsty Thursdays? I think so. It's got a special ringtone to it. All right, folks, this is the year. This is the year that I'll probably ruin and lose this nice little YouTube channel that I enjoy because of lack of very interesting videos, equipment operation, everything else. Failed you again. I'm not going to apologize for it because somebody that says sorry all the time really doesn't mean it. I do mean it, but I'm not going to apologize. Peas and oats are all done. They got done yesterday, wrapped, baled, and finished just before evening chores. I'm going to make it up to you just a little bit here. We're going to do a nice little thorough update. We're going to drive out to the field on the Ranger, take a look at the line, which is quite impressive, and we got a lot to talk about. There was many lessons learned, which is a good thing, but too many of them to learn is can get a little hairy. All right, handful of days ago, 6-4, we got 10 weaned off calves here. This little pen here with the super hutches is reserved for the, get that stretch going there, little girl, good for you, for the beef calves. They are now getting a combination of the country calf mix, which is close to the Startina Purina. Double the amount for half the price though. Mixed in with you can see a small layer of actual grain underneath it. We're just starting to get them used to it. They still have the weaned off blues here. There you go, get yourself something to eat now. But they're coming around. Yesterday was really bad for them. You know, they got weaned off their milk, and they got weaned off cold turkey. And these are the 6 Holsteins. These are dads. And they're doing real good. Real good. They all are. The Holsteins, for some reason, they took it a lot better than those beef calves. Oh, those beef calves were crying. Same thing here. Country calf over a small bed of grain. You give it another 3, 4, 5 days and it'll probably be grain, just grain. No more country calf for these boys and girls. Doing real good. Like I said, they go through a few days of hell weaning off that milk. As you can see, none of them are screaming and crying right now. They're getting used to it, and they're going to take nothing in but solids. And of course, obviously, you got the little stock tanks here of water. Kind of nice. You know, it was about 3 years ago, I raised a lot of calves. And just kind of nice to get back into it in a little, yeah. They're going to be in the super hutches for quite some time. So I'm most likely going to abide by this bin here and have a separate grain ration put in there versus coming out with pails or the wheelbarrow every time, which isn't a big deal. Yeah, so then therefore the hutches got removed, and of course you can see the squares where they were. They all got cleaned up, lawn mowed last night. Weather's been a little bit tricky around here. Not really, it's been nice. We got a little bit of rain late last night. We got about an hour storm this morning, which we needed it. But you know, all the hay's been picked up, and of course the peas and oats are done and wrapped. For me, it's welcomed. And most of the people I know, they were prepared for what was coming, and they all got their hay picked up. a lot of it on the 4th of July. There was more hay baled around here on the 4th of July. It was crazy. The Holsteins, it was time for them to come up to the hill, but they decided to go up there before we allowed them. Them crazy turkeys broke down the gate. I think what they did is they all conjured around the corner there, and they just kind of, one of them got pushed into it, broke, and there they are. It was time anyway. So right now, you know, this started yesterday. Another 2 healthy days up on the hill eating down that grass with a supplemental hay. Thirsty Thursdays. That's not good. Okay, the greedy pigs. We got a lot to cover here, so I'm not going to walk in here. Here's the beef herd, most of them. Some over here too. That video I made a few videos ago, whatever it was, I had said there's going to be about a 10 or 11 day heavy supplemental with grazing, and that stands to be true. We're on the back paddock number 3 and 4, and they are horrible. Basically, they're getting thirds, and you know, they get shoved out there about 6:30 in the morning, and by 10, 11 o'clock in the morning, they're back up here. That little section is done. So they're on some heavy supplemental right now, and it's okay. They got a full 4x6 of hay. They've got a half a wagon of sorghum silage, which they really enjoy, and then a little bale and a ring over there. Full helping of mineral here today, and they're doing good. And the pastures are making a big comeback. It just takes a little bit of time. We had a hell of a dry heat wave there for handfuls and handfuls of days, which was welcome because, you know, we shot out a lot of hay. But the pastures did take a hit. They're coming back real good though. I can assure you probably about 4, 5, 6 days from now, supplemental probably won't be needed, but we'll see. You know, I also said this was a big test year. What can this farm handle? And of course the grazing ground as well. And you know, there was a lot of cattle added to this herd, and that obviously makes a big difference as well. So other than that, they're doing real good. Calves are doing real good. I seen a couple cases of what I call the old droopy ears. So it's a preventive anyway, and I usually just save it for the springtime. But I ended up giving the stock tanks a dosing of cord, and this weather hasn't helped either. You know, we've had some pretty disgusting days here, folks. By the way, we got rain coming again here in about another hour and a half or so, and then the majority of tomorrow. Cattle are doing good. Not done calving yet. The brunt of it is all over. But I can assure you there's about 5, 6, 7, or 8 of them more to go. far from here. He ended up having a problem with his baler, and he had to shoot out the last 5 or 6 bales with no twine or net. He simply loaded them up here on the tag trailer here and gooseneck, and we're feeding off of it. Just kind of cleaning it up. "67 bales. That was a monstrous crop on a small little piece of property here. Fred, you old cat, you. Okay. Yesterday, all right. At the end of the day, everything's fine. This is a beautiful sight. This is a pile of feed, and my God, is it heavy. And we're going to talk about that. So long story short, at the end of the day, all is well. We're living in a perfect world. Look it. It's beautiful. I'm going to tell you something. Yesterday was a son of a gun. I made some mistakes, and I should have known better. I'm still scratching my head about it. Last year was my first year getting my head wrapped around peas and oats. You know, all these crops are different. They all handle different. Well, last year it was no problem. I cut, if I'm not mistaken, I think I cut and baled the same day. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Last year's little peas and oats that I put in was put in extremely late. It was put in the month of July, I think, yeah. So come harvest time, it was a very thin, poor crop. It was fair. I ended up, bringing home some bales out of it, and it was good. The cattle loved it, but it was a thin, poor crop. And I should have looked back. I should have known better. This was different. This was an absolute jungle monster of a beast of a product here. I'm sure you've seen possibly the video. The windrows were just ridiculous, heavy. Well, I made that video and I cut this that evening, like 6:30 that evening. I started. I let it sit the rest of the evening. Of course, we had pure sun that night until 10:30, and I went baling the next morning, yesterday morning, right after the dew. That was a huge no-no. That was just plain stupid. Can't do that. And what I'm real happy about is lesson learned, because my big field of peas and oats is coming up. Folks, there was basically juices dripping out of my baler, even though I have a silage special and it does such a wonderful, wonderful job and so clean. comes down to it, I put that baler through hell. That baler was not too happy. Belts squeaking, slipping. I'm not kidding you. There was runs of juices coming out of the baler. The truth of the matter is I should have stopped. But I wasn't smart enough to think about that till I was multiple bales in. I'm like, all right, let's put it through hell. Understand these corners get run over. What are you gonna do? Still some product left on the ground. So I bit the bullet and I just did it. But I will not be doing that again. No way. Way too heavy, way too wet. Now it's going to make excellent feed. Those cow lots are going to be nothing but the purest liquid form of the greenest manure you have ever seen. They're going to love this stuff. But never again. So what's the fix? What should be the perfect scenario? Well, if you give me a combination of a couple of days of nothing but pure sun and heat, I would have to say the combination needs for me to be disbining and cutting it right after a dew one morning. Yeah, perfect world, 9:30, 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock. A wider windrow for dry down. It needs to sit that entire day and not get picked up until the next late morning. Basically, it needs to sit there and bake. And that is what I'm going to do with the next field. Depending on when I get to it, if it's as thick and beautiful nasty as this stuff was, I might just cut it early in the evening one night, let it sit the entire next day, and bale the following. I will not be putting my baler through what I did. Like I said, at the end of the day, we're good. We got some good feed here. The tonnage here is just stupid ridiculous. Everything did go off without a hitch, but there was a lot of abuse that took place, and that's a no-no. The next one will be different. I plugged the baler. I didn't think it was possible with that John Deere baler. Oh, does that thing eat? Oh, I plugged it. I plugged it good. I'm just starting to get my forearms back. Most of you possibly watching this understand when you have to get up in that pickup head and just grab, pull, yank as hard as you can. Folks, I was down for it was easily a half hour plus yesterday. Mainly operator error. I took a little bit of a corner and I created a bundle ball of peas and oats, and it sucked it in, and it was bad. It was awful. Awful. It took me about 4, 5, 6, 7 different times to jump back in the tractor and kick the PTO on. And I think on the 7th time it finally sucked it in. It was bad. Real bad. But we got her, and immediately put the baler away, got the wrapper out here, and yeah, I literally walked in the milk house a little after 4 p.m. and started feeding calves, did chores. So, okay. There is a lot of alfalfa, folks, in these bales. That new seeding, AFX 469 from Alforex, with help from Mother Nature. Full confidence of another crop off this field before the year is out. And to clean it up a little bit, because the oats, you're going to see some oat growth back as well. This will be yet another round of high moisture baling, but of course predominant alfalfa with a little bit of oat growth in there. So yeah, all in all, I'm happy. Things worked out real good. Yeah, those bales. If there's a heavier feed source out there than high moisture peas and oats, I don't want to know about it because I probably will not be making it. Oh. Just ridiculous. Tires were squatting yesterday. That is a fact. And you can't help but put these little divots in the field just by turning just a little bit, you know, of course, when you're hauling a bale. But, what are you going to do? I do need to scour this field with the Ranger. Actually, that might be a good job for me tomorrow. There's some concerning rocks that come about. Yeah, I just need to scour the field. There's probably about 5, 6, 7, 8 rocks that I need to remove. We did a good job picking this, but you can't get them all. Try to, but you don't, you know. So basically, I'm on break. That's why Thirsty Thursday's got a nice little ring to it. Might do a little barking at the moon here. I don't know. Yeah, we got rain coming about an hour and a half, and then rain all night through tomorrow morning. Not in a significant amount, but you know, there's 40, 50, 60%ers the whole way through up until tomorrow afternoon. So any amount of production is over for today, and there'll be none tomorrow with the exception of just your simple common chores. Sounds like a good day to escape and maybe go fishing to me, but I've got about 30, 40, 50 things on my plate that I need to tie up, and tomorrow's a perfect day for it, including a little service on the small square baler. Bought a few parts. It's what we believe is going to cure the demon that's in it, and we'll do a special video on it. And we'll go from there. Saturday's looking at a pile of hay coming down, being cut, a pile of it. With the future forecast the way it sits now as we speak, Saturday looks to be a giant hay dropping day. We got a long ways to go here. That's a good thing. That's it. Couple things to tie up. My day is done. She's been a bear, but ultimately my new famous words are going to be, at the end of the day, successful. Right, Fred? You old dirty dog, you. Yeah, we'll see what happens. We're going to talk to you sooner than later.